Bud knows
We're into
all this.
him also.
Take this out of here.
But you don't know whether it was his choice or not.
No. He said he'd known about it for several months.
Oh, he's known about it.
Yeah.
Well, he says he's known about it then.
Bill, is that mic, was that mic turned on at all?
I still think it wasn't his choice. I think,
Yeah.
in fact, I'm
Yeah,
sure
it
it was
is.
his choice.
Yeah. It is.
He told us this, no, John, they've all,
Okay.
see when you're rolling?
Yeah.
Okay. Bill, you're never on that side of the camera.
Not often, no.
But we're talking about somebody who you worked with for a long time. It's pretty special. Tell me maybe your first memory about Bud Kraehling.
Well, you know, I've been here for a long time, but Bud was a veteran when I arrived. Bud, I think, is the senior member of our staff right now. I remember for many years, Bud and I were the only two people doing weather at this station, so every day of the week, every hour of the day, if there was weather on the air, it was either Bud or me. So we've worked together for a long time, but he was here a while before I was.
Now, he didn't really start out as a weatherman, did he?
Well, you know, in those days, everybody was everything. You know, I've done everything from game shows to sports to weather to news. In those days, everybody did a little bit of everything, and then if you showed any propensity for anything, you probably did it longer. I wound up doing interviewing and that sort of thing for the most part, but you didn't specialize that much in those early days unless you showed a particular ability with some area. And of course, Bud was the outstanding weatherman for this area for many years.
I mean, he really was. He said weather to people.
Exactly. Working from what was then known as the weather tower. It was a gimmick in those days. We don't use gimmicks in news these days, of course, but in those days it was a gimmick. You saw the camera move up to the top of the tower, and there in the top of the weather tower was Bud Kraehling telling us all what to expect and what went down for that day.
And then he had a window at our other...
Yeah, we also had a weather window, so preceded our window on the mall. We had a window off the mall for many, many years.
And people still talk about that. They still talk about how they
Yeah.
see the weather.
We had regular visitors, which we're starting to gather here now, but I remember one fellow who used to come and stand outside the window. We didn't work outside the window, we just looked through the window. There was a fellow who used to show up every day with his guitar and sing his heart out. Of course, couldn't hear anything except the folks standing next to him out there. But I'm sure Bud will remember that too.
One of the things that strikes me about Bud, and it's even when I first came to this town and was watching, is he has a very subtle sense of humor. Tell me about his sense of humor.
Oh, he does, but it runs deep. Bud is a wonderful friend, and he loves to tell stories and does all the time. I don't know that his sense of humor runs in any one direction, but it certainly it has been well used over the years and is an experienced sense of humor. He's an avid reader, always telling you about something he read or something he saw, and he goes to the theater often. He probably knows more about the Guthrie than most of us do. But he's quite a guy.
And he's very well-rounded, as you were saying. His other interests in here.
No question about it. And he's a family man, as you pointed out, very well-rounded. You know, for many years, up until just maybe the last 10 years or so, whenever a TV station was on the air, there was what we then called a staff announcer on duty. So 24 hours a day now, there would be a staff announcer, the person who did the off-camera commercials and the station IDs and all of those things. And Bud and I shared those duties for many, many years. So we spent many hours in that little booth waiting for the next station break, and in those days we read and read and read during those times.
You read commercials.
We read commercials, but in between the commercials we read voraciously everything that was. So if you were a staff announcer, you tended to be a very well-read person.
Yeah, oh, I understand you read books. I mean, the business has changed tremendously since you started. What would you think is the biggest change for you and for Bud?
Well, I think probably the biggest change is that local stations no longer have the wide variety of programming we used to have. We used to have children's shows and sports shows and interview shows and bowling shows and game shows and all of these dramatic shows and entertainment shows and interview shows and everything, all produced by the local station, within the local station, using local staff. We don't do that anymore, of course. News programs have pretty much taken over. It's just a matter of fact, and programs of any other sort are usually done on a network basis or by cable or something like that. So that kind of variety certainly has been a major change.
And speaking of that variety, just as you did, Bud played all kinds of different roles in all kinds of different entertainment shows.
He
Remember
did.
any of those?
Well, he did. He played lots of different. He didn't do kid shows as many of the others did. Bud was a commercial spokesman par excellence. He had an enormous capacity to memorize several commercials consecutively. And of course he would do the weather forecast, he would do the commercial inside the weather forecast and then continue. So he would have 5 or 6 minutes of memorized material a couple of times a day, and never was there a lapse for a moment. Bud is Mr. Mellow, you know. He just nothing flaps him.
And I was just going to say, while you're on that subject, is that he doesn't take himself or the business too seriously. Tell me about that.
No, Bud has a very good sense of who he is. He's never had a distorted sense of self-importance. State Fair is always a wonderful place to watch Bud interact with people. And now, of course, since he's been on the air less often the last several years, people treat him as though they're running into an old friend at the State Fair. It's a perfect place for him.
Yeah. What do you miss most?
I'll miss most just having Bud around, having someone who remembers some of the old days so fondly, who can remember some of the people who worked here at the station before we moved to this studio. Some of the folks who worked here, you know, just as long ago as 6 or 7 years. As it turns out, this is a young person's business, and so a very small percentage of our staff is over, say, 35, and those who remember back more than 10 years are few.
What gave him the sticking power?
Oh, just his attitude, I think. His ability to just stick with things, to not get ruffled by anything, just to move ahead.
What are we missing? Anything you want to talk about? You were doing the noon with him? How was it to interact with him?
Yeah, we did. We've done many shows together. See, in the old days, we didn't often do shows together because we were both doing weather. And so when he wasn't here, I was here, and vice versa. But then we did programs together from time to time, and as I said, Bud was just always the dependable, mellow soul. He never got ruffled. He never found anything difficult. He just moved steadily ahead.
Anything else you want to say about him? Or
Any good stories?
Yeah.
Not that I can tell on camera. A couple of really good ones, but I can tell. I remember one year when we all rode on St. Paul Winter Carnival float, and some enterprising soul in our promotion department felt that since it was so cold, it was below zero, it would be wise to maybe provide us with some internal Prestone before some internal antifreeze before we left. So they had a lot of that on the float, and when it worked very well while we were riding on the Winter Carnival float, but when we moved into the warmed St. Paul Auditorium, it hit us all like a blast, and it was a very disorienting ride through the St. Paul Auditorium. But Bud is a guy who, you know, you can't tell a lot of stories about, because he's just always steady, always stable, always there, always doing what he should, seldom getting himself into difficulty. Just a really good guy all around.
I didn't realize you did weather.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
You
Many,
miss
many
that?
years. Not really. It's a different kind of weather we're doing these days. You know, there's an awful lot of gadgetry, and I don't say that in a belittling way, because the machinery they use now is very valuable. Tells a lot more than we were able to in the old days. But in the old days, of course, you did weather. You likely did the commercial within the weather. Of course, in those days, newscasters were doing their own commercials too. And on the front of the set, it gave the name of the sponsor. It was a different time. And I don't say that with any particular longing. I think probably newscasts certainly are better now than they were then. We get a little flashy sometimes and have strange priorities occasionally, but in general, I think the technology has allowed us to do better newscasts than we did in those days. But there's still things you miss.
And then, should we just get him one walking shot? Walking out, walking in? This is probably the intro.
We're ready.
Now,
All right, Mr. Stewart, just look at me. Pretend the camera isn't here.
do you want to see this in there at all?
You can be looking at it, and then look up.
Okay.
All right, tell me the story about Bud.
Well, growing up around here, I've always admired Bud and grew up watching him because of his forecasting abilities. But one day, when I actually got the privilege of working here with him, I saw him come in with wet pants because it had been raining out. It had been a deluge outside. Bud went over to the weather center and pretty well just went about his business. But before doing so, he took his pants off, hung them up to dry, and sat there in his briefs for the next hour or so, as I recall, doing his weather forecasts while his pants dried. And we got a picture of it at the time because it was, I'd never really seen anybody quite so dedicated, I guess, to his job. That's one of many things I'll remember him for. He probably correctly forecast the rain that day, too. There's Bud in his briefs.
Is that why they call weather briefs?
I'm going to take a shot of that.
And then I'm going to ask Tom one more question. Right now,
Alright.
Tom, I just
You
want
can put the picture.
to go back to one little thing. Now, you grew up watching him. Tell me that a little bit. Like you grew up watching him, and then you got to work with him.
I grew up in Cokato watching Bud, and that's all we ever saw on the news and on and Dave. So we saw Bud's forecast. Everybody I knew out there watched Bud, and so I was aware he was a legend. And then to actually come in here and be able to work with him, beside him, really meant a lot to me. But anyway, I hope we're not compromising him on this. As I recall, he knew his picture was being taken. It was just
Tell me the short version of what happened. It was raining outside.
okay. It was raining outside. Bud came in, pants wet, had to get the forecast done for the noon, I'm sure. Took off his trousers off in the corner by the weather center, hung them up to dry, and for the next hour or so worked in his briefs as he got his forecast ready to go, and put his pants back on and went on the air, I might add.
That shows.
That shows, yeah.
That's great.
That's the one we'll use.
Yep, it is.
Well, Bud Kraehling is one of the fine people on this earth and a person that I really have a huge amount of respect. And in addition to that, I'd watched him for, 15 years on the air. And I came here 27 years ago and I started to work with him. And that's very interesting because I didn't know what to expect personally from him. He is a kind, good, talented man. He's multi-talented. He's a painter. He's a bird fancier. He knows birds. He tells great stories. And professionally, he was so good to work with because he's knowledgeable, relaxed. He takes care of things, and if there's any rough spots, he's the man that keeps on going on. And he is a person who just is a pleasure to work with professionally. He's very funny too, and he does eccentric things. Like I remember in the announce booth in the old building, he had a banana peel up there in a plastic bag for maybe 10 or 12 years, and we just watched it change its composition and color, and it was kind of a high point. He's a musician, and he appreciates his music, and he did something real exceptional through his church. A town in Central America that his church had adopted was in need of musical instruments, and he took his bugle that he played every 4th of July in his neighborhood for the community, for his neighbors. And we used to film it and put it on there each time. And after many, many years, that town in Central America that needed his musical instruments, he took his personal bugle and he sent it down there for a person who would then have a chance to have an instrument. And that's kind of him. He sees the big picture. He understands things about people. He's a humanitarian. He's intelligent. He's such a fine person. I think of all the talents he has, and then to work with him is such a pleasure because he's a good, kind person, and I have so much respect for him and his intelligence and his, the big picture. And as a person who gives you the weather, I think there's countless people in the metropolitan area that still talk about, is that Bud doing the weather was really good. And he did the first, we have a weather, is it done outside the window on the mall? He did a weather window many years ago. And I like him a lot.
One of the things I noticed about Bud when I was producing the new one is that nothing fazed him. I mean, he could be the things out of order, out of filter,
and as a director, that's so important to have somebody like that, because you can throw something at him and in a split second and he adapts. He understands your needs, and that just makes it all very human to work with, and that's so good. He's a member of a wonderful family. His 3 daughters, I hope I'm correct on that, and his wife Nan. And I once saw Nan and he, who are both talents in the spoken word, and they used to perform on the radio. And I saw a radio performance done at a local library for people to experience. It's a radio performance, and they did excerpts and pieces from various plays and poetry, and the man was just wonderful, and Nan too. They worked so well together, and I'm constantly surprised, and I shouldn't be, because over the years I shouldn't be surprised by Bud and what he can do. Just seeing that, I understood how his radio worked that much better.
You know, you named a couple of different talents in different sentences. Why don't you put them all together? Tell me a couple of Bud's talents.
Is it Bud's talents? First, as a meteorologist who understands what the people want, and he intelligently translates that for them. He is a person that when we need, humor in our business, and we need it as much or more than in any business, he will see the funny side of life, and not only of life, but of him personally. He is a person that is it bird watching? I mean, is it tell you about birds? We talk about, is it music? He is a person that is well liked by everybody here because of his humanitarian outlook on life, not only towards Central America, but towards his fellow employees and people he works with. And he's very funny. God, is he funny. And from the bedtime news to is it jokes that he will tell you, that is a twinkle in his eye will always be there. And it's been there all of the 27 years that I've known him personally. And it was there before I knew him personally when I watched him on the air. It's such a trait that all of us should strive for.
Sad to see him go?
Pardon me?
Sad to see him go?
God, I'm not going to say goodbye to him. I will not be sad because I'm not going to let go of him. I will see him after he goes. Now, he won't go as far as I'm concerned. I feel that, I don't know if many people realize that he's much older than he acts and looks and as it does, but I figure it's a nice time for him that he has chosen to do something and change his life once again.
Anything we're leaving out?
Boy, I think I've expressed pretty well in this short time how much I feel about him.
Thanks, Josh.
My pleasure. All my pleasure.
I'm gonna get a shot of Roger maybe tomorrow or something at the helm.
Oh, not me. Of course, the map printer isn't working, but old log temperature.
Do you do any broadcasting now? I mean, you do on cable still, or have they not?
No, the cable ended. Yeah.
Okay.
The only thing I did.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll get out of your way and let Karen and you talk for a minute.
Yesterday.
5 minutes to get dressed.
Okay. I don't know. You want to be talking about go over the forecast or something like that?
Want to go over the forecast?
Yeah.
We can go over the forecast.
Anytime,
So
huh? We
go
can
over
do
some
this.
Numbers.
Okay.
Or the weather guide calendar.
Yeah. Or the
And let's
forecast.
see, it's partly sunny and 70 today, 77 yesterday. What were the dew points yesterday? I did do
Oh,
the
they were
70s.
high. Yeah.
So, and it hit 90.
It's going to be less humid. Mm-hmm. Good.
Yep, and it's starting right now.
Yeah, it's dropping off. Let's
Yep.
see. Yeah.
And so, and it should stay that way right through the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Mid 80s. Oh, I didn't put Sunday down, but Sunday should be around 80 if you want to ad-lib that part
Okay.
on the phone.
That'll be fine. 80 on Sunday.
Yeah, around 80.
And partly cloudy.
Yep.
Good. I
And
guessed that right, huh?
Yeah, well, yeah, partly cloudy right through Monday,
Okay.
actually.
All right.
And then upper 70s on Monday. I wrote
Sure.
that down. So you can ad-lib that part. I just didn't write it down.
How come the dew points are always high early in the morning usually? They always come and drop down.
Well, actually, you see they were real low here, and then
were
they went
there,
up.
Then they went up.
And that's just because with south wind that was bringing in this moisture ahead of the front.
Ah.
Well, now winds are
Now
out of the
it's north.
and it's bringing in
It's
the drier air.
drier.
Yeah, so the dew points are going to drop. In fact,
Okay.
if you look at one of the maps we have out in the Dakotas, it's got all the dew points in the 50s, and so that's kind of transporting in here, which is why I've been telling everybody to expect the dew point to drop today.
Yeah,
In fact,
good.
look here. Here we go, southwestern Minnesota. It's dropping into the 50s. West central, here we go, Alex, 54. We've got 64. There's the difference.
Much more comfortable.
Yeah, 55 at St. Cloud, so that's what's working its way in here. Okay?
Thanks, Karen.
Okay.
find out. It's probably a long involved something or another, but Weather Center. Uh-huh. Is that last night? Uh-huh. Well, let me see what I've got. Just a second. Well, I don't know. Just a second. What I did with that.
What did somebody want?
Well, they want to know about storm damage at Cass Lake. I don't know where that stuff is. Saw it earlier. It's not well scripted, is it?
Oh, that's okay. Just do whatever.
Yeah. It was here. Oh, wait a minute. Maybe it's under here. No? I don't know. Well, I had some of that information here earlier. Now I can't put my finger on it. I wonder if you could call back. We will have more people here later today, about 1:30 or so. Well, you know, do you know anybody up there in that area that you could call? That would probably be the best. Yeah. I wonder if you, on information, you might be able to find out the sheriff in that county. They probably have it. Okay. All right. Well.
Okay, do you rip anything or
Yeah.
anything up? Or?
Somebody wanted to know about damage in Cass County last night.
Okay. He's gonna. What time is your appointment on lunch hour?
12:15.
You have to leave here at 12:15?
Noon.
Okay.
Okay, well, let's see. I could, I was going to get some stuff out of here. Well, just anything, huh? Okay. I started to do it earlier, and then I forgot what I was doing.
Okay, is this for the whole story or?
This is for a lot of the stories. Anything current today. This is all covered for that. Like, this is what we're doing.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, now I got to wait till it dials in here.
What?
It's not the sound phone.
Everything is slow.
Is this your phone again, bud? That's me.
That's the radio line. Yeah, I'm not going to answer it. Oh, boy. Okay, here we go. There we go. Okay. And we'll get St. Cloud and should start printing. Come on, baby. There we go. Works. Then I've got those pictures. Here. The zones. Okay, right. Go back down. Very important part of this whole process, throwing away paper. Okay, well.
I'm stuck with it. Fred, let me ask you a question. I Eden Prairie or whatever and things.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So if Trish, I'm gonna just call.
All right.
in and
All right.
finish this deal.
All right. Yeah, we could probably work on these things here. Put my glasses on. Yeah, I know. I probably never look at these things here where that where that line goes. There. Check it up in here like that. Over here it's...
Okay, stop for a second.
Yeah,
Let
okay.
me get you just a tighter shot of your markings.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Anytime, yeah, that's it. We'll put that right up in there. Okay, there, okay. That, and
Okay.
this one here, well, we can enhance that a little bit there. So, like that. That's all. That's like that. Okay. Then, well, well, busy tap dance, except this is on the carpet. And I did make that map this morning down there. With it's going to be 80s tomorrow here, and some 90s creeping into the western Dakotas there. And then, well, here's that same low up in there that we've been talking about. It's kind of moving away. It brought the rain last night. It's moving on to the Central Lakes.
Is there anything behind that one?
That's all high pressure, so probably for the weekend, that's all. It's going to be partly cloudy and much drier and cooler. So that'll take us through the weekend. Nice weekend for the fair.
Okay.
All right. Oh, anyway, whatever. And the Iowa zones. So, in case anybody calls and wants an Iowa forecast, well, we've got that. Okay. I don't want that one. So we put that up there.
And you can rip this one off again then.
Yeah, okay. But that's Texas, Ohio, New Mexico, and Nebraska, but
Whatever.
you know, yeah, we need all this. Try to answer questions that people call in about.
If they're going to travel there?
Yeah, the travel, flooding summary, and then the Minnesota zones. The state is broken down into about 12, 15 zones, kind of depending on the weather. And so you could talk to people about the forecast at Roseau, International Falls, and Bemidji, broken down into areas, Ely and Hibbing, Detroit Lakes, and then the Brainerd and Duluth area, Pine City. And then there's one for the Twin Cities. They include Minneapolis, St. Paul, Hutchinson, and Red Wing in the forecast for that part of the state for the afternoon, tonight, and tomorrow. So it gives a pretty detailed forecast of what people are traveling or for the weekend or
Right.
going fishing.
Okay. Can you rip that off?
Sure. Okay. One sec. Okay. Rip that off. And we won't say that. All those up there. No, I don't know. I could take them over and put them on a clipboard over there. But I don't know if you want any more. I'd move there.
Let's do that.
Okay, should I could be over here. Something like that.
I'll kind of be here and wait for you to come.
Yeah,
You're going
okay.
right here, right?
Yeah, I'm going around. It's actually,
Oh,
I'll
this
put them on this side.
Oh, well, wherever. It doesn't
Well,
make any difference
they
to me.
usually put it over here
Okay,
on
that's
this, on the bottom there. Okay,
Okay.
all right, all right. Okay,
I know we discussed mine not doing the weather after 9 o'clock and waiting until after the state fair to start that.
okay.
Okay, maybe if you
And I just missed it again because I'm trying to get
Okay.
You can stick it back up there just like you came in and did it before.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
Oops, I'm gonna take your hands out, all
Yeah.
the way out, all
Okay.
the way.
Like this,
There you go.
okay.
Uh-huh.
And now do it, okay.
I mean, I'm on the state fair.
Straighten it out a little bit.
Great. All right.
Okay. Now, you have to wiggle them out. Oh, there it is. Okay. Wait till that prints out. Okay. Now I can do something up here.
Okay.
I'll take that out of the way. Okay. Okay, and then I do that. And I do that. Like that. Okay. Everything is slow. You need to edit these things here. Okay. Then let's see, I'm gonna do a map up here. Okay. Okay, here we go. Ready?
Yeah. And what am I watching
Well,
for?
it'll be the map will come in once I touch that.
Okay. Okay.
See? No. Great. Okay.
Okay.
So I could put a little color in there.
Yeah.
Okay. Isn't that beautiful? Okay. Now that's where it's going to be 100 degrees today. Wow, look at that, huh? It's kind of fun once I learned how to do it.
Keep on doing that for a minute.
Okay. But I thought it was the Tom Cousins that we know, but it's his son,
Oh, I see.
who's a director. He's been there.
Okay, rolling? Yeah. All right, but you're never on this side of the camera.
No.
You've learned quite a bit of new stuff here, haven't you?
It was fun. I learned how to make a map like that. It took me a little while to do it. Computers just seemed so foreign to me. And none of the steps made sense. But then once it all kind of gets in your mind about how things work with a computer, then it's much easier to do other things. Yeah, I really enjoyed doing it. Yeah.
Well, you have seen so many changes.
Oh, first paper maps, drawing on paper maps, and all kinds of variations of paper maps over metal where you'd put magnetic pieces on, cubes that turned, things that did this and moved around, and the weather windows and weather tower, and it seemed to keep the weather fresh. I believe you do need to change the format every once in a while, so you get into a rut. Now all the maps are on the computer and software.
You never seem to get in a rut, though. I mean, you always seem interesting.
I think that is the danger of a TV. Any part of it, I believe, the news or sports or the weather, is to do keep doing the same thing all the time, and then it gets stale to you. You really have to think. So, actually, members of my family would prod me to think of something different to do. So I added flowers and birds and some gardening, nature, and to tie it in with the weather.
But also that ties in with your own interests.
That's the thing. And photography, I love photography and taking pictures, and it does all tie together. Or you could tie it together. You can think of ways why you want to talk about the apple trees or the apple blossoms or the bird migration, and tie it in with the weather.
But people love that.
Well, I do hear yet from people that I see on the street. It's, oh, I remember the birds, or I remember the flowers, or something like that. And people would send me pictures or send me stories about things, wonderful stories about the robins nesting outside their front door or something like that.
But you haven't always been in weather. I mean, in the early days, much more jack of all
No,
trades.
when I started in radio in the 1930s, you did do everything. You did do news and sports and remotes and commercials, and you did have a broad background of things that you learned how to do. Now it's become more specialized.
Is this something you liked, weather?
Why?
Did you like weather?
Oh, I just happened into it. The first weather on TV, I was substituting for a man who went on vacation, and it was sponsored by Tasty Bread, and I did a better commercial, I guess, than he did, so the sponsor had me stay on. And then went to the weather tower, and that was quite a big gimmick of pretending to be outside and talking about the weather at the top of the tower.
But it wasn't?
No, it was in the studio. But in those, a lot of people did think that it was real. And where is it? Would ask, where is it? And I think I know where it is, something like that. That lasted 10 years. It was kind of fun.
Tell me the chronology. When did you start, and what did you start doing here?
Well,
And how old were you?
Yes, when I started. It must have been in my late 20s. I was in the Army, and my wife had moved to the Twin Cities and was in radio. So when I got out of the Army, I joined her here and started working in radio, WTCN radio, in the Wesley Temple building. And it's called a booth announcer, where you did the station call letters and the weather forecast and the temperature, things like that, and played records. Then
What year was that?
that was 1946. So then in 1949, Channel 4 went on the air in July of 49. And I was the announcer for the second day. Big honor. We just had a movie on in the afternoon. Well, it's very quickly expanded into the morning and the afternoon and night. And we had ABC and CBS and the Dumont Television Network and all kinds of films that they filled with. And the weather started as an independent program at 10 o'clock at night. There was no news around it, just 5 minutes of weather. They didn't really have a news department in the late, well, that would be around 1950. So that was a separate program. That was the Tasty Weather program at 10 o'clock at night. It ran 5 minutes. And you did a live commercial, held up a loaf of bread, and there was just one map.
Things have changed.
Yes.
Any stories in the early days?
Yes, we were all assigned to do commercials. Dave Moore had a number of commercials he did, and John Gallus, and I had several sponsors. One was Barks Root Beer. It was on Saturday morning, and there were commercials inserted in a Western movie. And I dressed up like a cowboy with a cowboy hat on and kind of a blue shirt, maybe something like this. And they were done live, and the commercial was built around the giving away of a pony. Something to do with the bottle caps of Barks Root Beer. Kids saved them, or there was a magic bottle cap, and I had the pony in the studio with me, and it was tied to what looked like a fence, this make-believe fence. It's tied to this top bar of the fence, and I was holding up a bottle. This is live, and I was holding up a bottle of root beer, and I kind of went like that, like a toast, and it frightened the pony. The pony reared up on his back legs, and the fence went right up with him and stayed up there for a few seconds and then came down with this loud noise. And I don't know to this day what I really said during that period of time, but I still was holding my Barks Root Beer. I may have continued at the end of the commercial, something like that. There's no film of that. I often wish I could see what that really looked like.
Yeah. And early days working with Dave Moore. So
Yes.
Had we other people like that?
Yes, John Gallus, Dave and I then started to work together on the 6 o'clock news and weather and the 10 o'clock news and weather. And it was the start of what many people have called happy talk time, where there would be conversation between the newscaster and the weather forecaster to bridge the gap from the news to the weather, something to do with the weather. and you'd ad-lib, I would tell Dave, well, I'll start talking to you. Don't you start talking to me. I want to start talking to you because I have something I want to make a point. And that was kind of fun. That was always a challenge to come out. It didn't always work. You know, sometimes it would be kind of funny, sometimes not.
You guys were such
Unexpected.
A pair. You guys were such a pair. Singing and
Well, you get to know a person, and when you do little things like that, then the other person knows about what to expect, or you know about what his reply is going to be, or her reply is going to be. So that was fun to start to be in the early days of television. When you have to look back, you had no idea at the time how it was all going to turn out.
It must have been great working with Dave, though, that
Yes, it was.
What's the most interesting thing about Dave we should know? Funny,
Oh,
serious?
He was always serious about doing the news. He didn't always look that way. He was very casual about it in many ways, but I think he was always serious about it and in getting it right. And he would correct a lot of the news copy that was written by somebody else, the way he didn't like it, or he would correct the grammar. He was always very precise about a story making sense, and the grammar had to be right.
But you guys could let your hair down, like at bedtime news.
Yes, he has a very funny bit that he has used a number of times where he wrote this copy, and he was asking me about the weather. Where does it come from? And I said, well, it comes from the west. Well, how do you know it comes from the west? And this went on and on, kind of silly like that. He's used it a number of times on his Sunday morning program.
What will you remember most about being WCCO-TV?
I'm just amazed how the years have gone by and all the changes. And when it started out, I had no idea how it was all going to turn out, how it was all going to develop. I guess I was always aware that it's a temporary business. Always aware of that. I wasn't sure that I was really going to be working year after year. I think in the back of your mind you want to keep on working, but it always a little running scared a little bit of how it was all going to turn out. It's amazing. Well,
How has it all turned out?
good, real well.
What will you miss the most about this place? If anything.
Oh, yeah, I think working with people. It'd be a change, and you miss working with people, coming down and making coffee, like that.
Well, when we were talking to people, they said that was one of the things they remembered you do all the
The
time.
good coffee, yeah.
It must be, it's an amazing position in a business like this with a lot of cutthroat, things that nobody has a negative word to say about you.
Oh, well, that's great. Have you talked to a lot of people?
And they all cite your patience, your sense of humor, and the other thing is you go with the flow. I remember doing the noon show producer, and they throw you a curveball. How did you always take it and just smooth it out?
I think you do learn a lot of patience. One time I was making a tape over at a public TV, Channel 2, and it took so long to do it, and many stops and starts and moving cameras and changing copy and like that, and it was a subject I didn't know much about. And at the end, when it was all done, the producer said, well, what did you really learn from all this program? And I said, patience.
That's true. The other thing that I think because of your ability and because of your early days live television, you were much better at doing things like being flexible on the air.
It did teach you that. I tried to memorize commercials because we all had these live commercials. I tried to memorize them, and if I would forget at a certain point, you develop a sense of sort of repeating what you've said in the previous paragraph until you remember what that last paragraph is. Sometimes the commercials would go much longer than they should have because you got lost in the middle there. And it probably was obvious sometimes, and sometimes maybe people couldn't tell. But there's little tricks that you do to cover mistakes or things that don't go well or something that has to change. And sometimes it's an odd feeling of having one thought going through your mind of what you want to say, having somebody to talk to you in your little earpiece, and to have these two thoughts going through your head at the same time. You're trying to listen and trying to say something. And sometimes there are three thoughts going at the same time. What am I going to do now? It is odd. But it does teach you to, well, think on your feet.
Who's invested that? What are we leaving out? What haven't we talked about?
I don't know. I talked a long time. I don't know. Can't think of
Can I ask
anything
you how
else.
old you are now?
Oh, 78.
You have how many kids? Just to.
I have 4 daughters and 7 grandchildren.
That's great. Thank you, Bud.
Okay, thank you.
I was okay rolling.
Right where we are.
Good. Okay, anytime.
All right. And what was your name, sir, and your title, and?
You need the spelling on it?
All right. Well, tell me. You work with actually as a 6 o'clock producer and 10 o'clock producer. You work with Bud a ton.
A lot.
What's it like to work with?
Oh, he was great. I think the deal with Bud was he was absolutely unflappable in any situation. The show could be falling apart right around you, and Bud never let on. Graphics might not come up. We might be having problems of any kind, and Bud would just keep on going, and a viewer would never know the difference.
The other thing I remember is that he would expand or contract your time as needed.
Exactly.
That's just feminist.
He had a peculiar skill, I remember, doing the weather, that he could, he might lift his hand to point at a graphic he thought was going to be there, and the wrong one would come up, and he'd just go with it. And he'd pretend like he was pointing at something else entirely, and just move right on.
Just like some of the other people I've seen on the air.
Oh yeah, they never let you know that there's a problem.
Is that about the most unique thing about Bud, would you say? Or what else, personality-wise, you work with?
Always a nice, happy guy was Bud. If there were problems going on, either personally or in the office, never really griped about anything. Always fun.
And there's some funny stories about him. I mean, I saw one clip that.
Yeah, the fact that he was so unflappable, I think really, I only saw one exception in 12 years working with him. Was a time when the anchor of the news started coughing, I think, and couldn't continue, and asked Bud if he would read the story for her, and he wasn't able to do it because he didn't have his glasses with him.
But he tried hard.
He did. He was right in there. He was trying.
Any other story?
Gosh, you know, I do the one personal reminiscence I have is how interested he was when I got married and he found out we were going to Paris on our honeymoon. He had been there, and he made it his project to make sure that we saw all the right things and had all the right literature. And he brought me books and really was excited about it. And as a result, I think we had a lot better time. He really prepared us for the trip.
He's really well traveled.
Oh, yeah.
With many interests in his birds and his flowers.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, and his trips to Ely and the lake were always an event every year. I know he loves it up there.
People still, I mean, didn't they call in and recognize him at the fair and things like that?
Oh, constantly. Yeah, everywhere.
All right, what am I missing?
Well, there was that scandal back in, no. I don't think anything.
Well, I think I've heard your 2 sound bites go by, so we're fine.
All right, cool.
Yeah, I have one more favor. Can we just get Dana walking out the building like...
Okay. Or can you do that again? Where are you going?
Come on back.
ready?
Bud, you're the greatest weatherman that I've ever known. And I wish that you would be on the air every day so I could get accurate weather. Hope you have a nice retirement, and hopefully we'll see you up at the old Burnside Lake. Take care, Bud. See ya.
Good. Thanks a lot. You don't have to hold it up. Probably right there. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Give me a check real quick.
Sure. This microphone is going to work better than when I use it on stories with you, isn't it?
Okay. Let's go.
All right. Well, I don't really have any good stories. You know what? I have one story about Bud I'd like to tell, and that is the first year that I came here back in 1989. That's when we had a larger role in the Aquatennial, and we rode in the Aquatennial parade in a convertible. I was with Mike Fairborn and with Bud, and we were driving down the streets of Minneapolis, and I mean everybody was doing this, "Hey, Bud," kind of thing. And I thought, wow, this guy, you know, I mean, I grew up watching Bud, and all these people, it was just incredible experience for me just to be sitting there next to this Bud-like individual. He was just incredible. And of course, here at the fair, I'm trying to do a poor imitation of what Bud would do if he were here. So I've enjoyed working with Bud, and of course, Bud knows my proudest moment was when I came here to work with him and Mike, and that will always be my proudest moment at WCCO. So thank you, Bud, for everything you've done for me and all the inspiration that you've been to me.
Oh, great. You ready?
Yep.
Rolling.
Hey, Bud. Sorry to hear you're going. How the heck am I ever going to be able to ID birds at my feeder now? Jeez, I may have to call you at home. Oh, well. Take care, Bud. Good luck.
All right. Good. Okay.
Let me know when you're hot.
Go ahead.
Okay. Mr. Bud Kraehling, Jerome, my buddy and friend, longtime friend for 22 years, you still have not given me the videos that you promised me, and I'm still waiting for them. So maybe after you retire, I can stop over and see them in person. Good luck, Bud.
Good.
Okay. Bud, we did dozens of Minnesota. Okay, ready? Bud, we did literally dozens of Minnesota State Fairs together, and we're going to miss you on the broadcast side. I expect we're going to be seeing you out at the fair anyway. It's been a long, very, very pleasant ride with you. We're looking forward to many more years of friendship.
Good. Thank you.
At 12:40 today, we have the WCCO home movie.
Ready?
Please join us.
Yep.
It's 25 minutes.
Bud, what do you mean severe weather? We don't have anybody here. Got to be ready. Okay. Oh, read the news too. See ya.
Approximately 5 minutes, so please join
Thanks,
us.
Jack. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3.
We'll miss you, Bud!
Okay, we're gonna do it again. Okay, again. 1, 2, 3.
We'll miss you, Bud!
And just keep waving. Okay, one more time. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
We'll miss you, Bud!
All right, thank you very much. Okay, on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
Bud, we're going to miss you.
Okay, one more time. One more time. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Bud, we're going to miss you.
Good.
We're out here at the...
Okay, wait a minute. Okay, ready?
Hi, Bud. Happy retirement. I hope we still see you in the halls of CCO. We're out here at the State Fair. Remember all those years out here? We're sure going to miss you. But best of luck and enjoy every minute of it. Bye-bye.
Good. Thanks a lot, Mary Lee. Appreciate it.
Your favorite Bud Kraehling story.
Oh, Bud, I don't know a Bud Kraehling story, but you're a class act all the way. You can go without a microphone on. You can go without an IFB working. You're great, buddy. I love you. Thanks for coming to my wedding, too.
Okay.
Okay, ready?
Yeah. Bud, my favorite story about you is I'm walking down the street one day and I'm coming up to the Times and it's a rainy morning and you're sitting there and buying a New York Times. And I said, gee, Bud, why are you buying a New York Times? He goes, well, that's where I get the noon weather report. He says, it's as good as any.
Okay. The iris is okay and everything?
Yeah.
It's zebring a little bit. That's
No, I don't care about the Z. Yeah, that should be okay.
Okay, go ahead.
All set? Yeah, you know, Bud Kraehling. Let's start that again here. Just a second. You know, I really like the way Bud Kraehling used to read the baseball box scores every day when he'd do the sports section. He was probably my most favorite sportscaster here at CCO in all the years I've worked here. Have a great retirement, Bud.
Working here? Wait a minute, take that off. Take that off. Okay, I'm rolling, sir. Ready when you are.
Okay, anytime.
Go ahead, pop it up there.
Oh, this is my moment to say a little word for Bud. Bud, it's just been a pleasure and enjoy the work with you over the years. I just remember you and Dave working as the real pillars of this place for 50 years. It's hard to believe. But I remember a comment, or witty comments you always like to share with us, and I appreciated that too. And the one thing I remember, a farmer asked you one time, how can you make it as a weatherman? Well, that one, I know you had a good laugh out of that one, so did I, and the rest of the guys. And I thought about the Red Owl commercial when I first came here. How I was on camera, and you didn't have a teleprompter then, but you memorized your lines just like you memorized your weather practically every day. And when they shot the spot, it was my first commercial, and I blew it. And you didn't say much at all, just, oh, we got to do it again, gently and smoothly, and we did it, and I appreciated that, and I always remember that thing when I first came here. And I just want to wish you well in your retirement. Thank you.
Good, Ted. Okay. I'm ready.
Ready on my teeth.
Oh, no, just a little banana. Okay.
How about my hair? Is all right?
Oh, it's beautiful, man. Okay, I'm ready when you are.
All right. But I came to the weather station. Well, actually, I found out that it helps cover up part of your stomach. That's why we really use this thing, I think. At any rate, I wanted to say to you that, you know, even though you've been here for 50 years, I didn't really get to know you so well until just the last year or so when we, quite by coincidence, would meet over in the Gavaday food court. And I don't know what the people at the Subway sandwich place are going to do without you wandering around the Skyways at noon, but you and I had a number of really nice conversations. I got to know you and hear about your family and so forth, and I just want you to know that even though your son-in-law represents Brad Dunlap, and I asked you a lot of questions trying to pry things out of you about that case, that I didn't ever really expect you to leak anything, and just to be sure everybody knows, you certainly didn't leak any information about Dunlap. But seriously, Bud, you know, I think the people at this station owe you a tremendous debt of gratitude. You really put weather on the map at this station, and all the weathercasters who ever followed you owe you a deep debt for that and for all the goodwill that you generated in all those years you've been here at this station. From looking out that window, 9th Street, to doing the cable weather, whatever it is you've been doing most recently, even showing the slides of the birds on the noon newscast. You really built an audience here for weather at this station, and we all thank you very much for that and wish you all the best in the years ahead.
There we go. There, now it's rolling. All set? Okay. Hi, Bud. I just wanted to let you know that I always really appreciated it when you did those baseball box scores. You were my most favorite sportscaster here in the Twin Cities during your time on the air. And you know, Bud, I also just wanted to let you know that I always thought you were such a genuine person. Whenever I'd watch you at home, I was always just touched by how humanly you gave the weather and how you connected with all the viewers out there. You were my favorite person on the weather, and I hope you have a very happy retirement. Good luck, Bud.
You'll know who you are. Just a second.
Well, I know. Okay. All right.
Just a second here. Hang on.
This for Bud's party then?
This will be. Yeah, I'm pretty sure these are all. Most of them are for Bud's party.
Sure.
Okay, Mike, I'm rolling. Anytime you're ready.
Okay, Bud. Well, I just want to wish you a happy retirement. Make sure all your days are sunny and 80, and may you enjoy watching all the birds. I do have a confession to make, Bud. You know your weather map from the 70s and the old building, the cube. Yeah, I got it in my garage, and I stole all your partly cloudy symbols. See you later, Bud. Bye-bye.
That was good, Mike.
Is that okay?
That was good. Yeah. Just a second. Let's roll in.
How much are you showing of me?
Just below that a little bit, Bill. Just right about there. Yep.
So my hands are probably just keep my hands out of it.
Okay.
Right.
I'm rolling and ready when you are, sir.
Well, Bud, I have to thank you for teaching me the two most valuable lessons in broadcasting that you could have taught me. The first is to always have some extra piece of information you can use just in case you have some extra time on air. And the second, and even more important, is to go to the bathroom before the severe weather hits, because once it strikes, you just won't have the time. Best of luck in your retirement, Bud.
Nice, Bill. Very nice, sir. I'm rolling anytime you're ready.
Bud, I can't believe that we're really, to this day, that I've had the privilege of sharing almost 20 of the 50 years that you've been here at WCCO with you. I still, every place I go, people ask me, where's Bud? How's Bud doing? And it's a pleasure for me to tell them, at least in the past, that you were right here with us side by side, right up at least until today, and we're really going to miss you. The one thing, I guess, if I could say about Bud Kraehling that people ask me about, and that is that he is a gentle gentleman, and that's what you are, Bud, and it's been a pleasure to be with you.
Nice, Mike. Roll in a couple seconds here. Okay, I'm ready when you are.
But I didn't need to go on the computer to figure out that I have been here.
Now it'll make it. Okay, Alan, anytime you're ready again.
But I don't need my computer to figure that I've been here for less than 30% of the time that you've been at WCCO-TV, so I know I'm a newcomer, and even my mother-in-law was a newcomer when she was a director here so many years ago. No, not so many years ago. I would never say that. It was not so many years ago that my mother-in-law worked here. She hasn't been in the workforce that long. I'll deny anything that anyone would say about that. But it's been wonderful, Bud, to be with you and to see your fine manner on the air, an antidote to some of us who think we were all junior Walter Cronkites, and we'll truly miss you. Take care.
Very nice, sir.
You got to get that thing off here. You got to get that clip from underneath you there.
I can't use that other
Can't
thing.
you really?
Nope, it digs in. It hurts.
Is that right? Oh, ouch. Okay. Let me know when you're ready.
Roll it.
Rolling. Okay. But I just wanted... Let me try that again. Sorry. But I just wanted to let you know that I've always enjoyed the way you gave the baseball box scores and how you did the news. I always thought you were the best sportscaster in town. Oh, wait, that's the wrong profession. Sorry, Bud. But I just wanted to let you know that when I used to watch you at home doing the weather, I always thought you were one of the most humane, gentle people that I knew, and I always got a sense that I could always trust you in the way you gave the weather and in your down-home manner. I really enjoyed both seeing you on television and then working with you and meeting you by the coffee maker and chatting over coffee while we made coffee back there. I hope you have a wonderful retirement. Life should be good to you, Bud. Take care.
You ready, Bob?
Ready?
Bud, let's make some coffee. Okay.
That's good. That's good. If you don't like it first time.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be real long. It doesn't have to be short.
Okay.
I'm rolling and I'm ready when you are.
Okay. 3, 2, 1. Well, Bud, as far as I'm concerned, you're the best there ever was. You're the best there ever... I had my hand on the mic. 3, 2, 1. Well, Bud, as far as I'm concerned, you're the best that ever was, and you're the best that ever will be. Now, that wonderful combination between that courtly, gentlemanly, gentle nature, chock full of information that everybody wanted to hear, from the sounds that birds make to the sounds that great poets make. And when you teamed up with Dave Moore,
that will go down in history as probably the best anchor-weather combination ever. And quite frankly, I miss it. And I wish I could watch it every night.
That was nice done.
Okay.
All right, stand by. 4, 3, 2.
Well, Bud, I am so sorry I cannot be there to wish you farewell at WCCO. Instead, about now, I'm probably tipping some vino in northern Italy. But, you know, I wanted to leave you with this nice message. When I started here, you've been here 50 years, and of course that says one thing about you. It speaks volumes. It talks about loyalty. It talks about really how special you are. And the one thing that really meant a lot to me is when I came to WCCO, I was a newcomer on the block. I had huge shoes to fill as I took your position, and you were so gracious and so kind to take me under your wing and introduce me to the Twin Cities, and you continued coming on the noon show, providing us with the Bud Kraehling, so it really, I think, helped me take shape here in the Twin Cities because of how you acted as though you liked me, and I hope you did. I've had some great times with you, some great laughs, and I still want to go shoot some tequila with you because I think I could drink you under the table, although I hear you are quite a drinker. Well, not really. But anyway, you take care, and I hope we can keep in touch, and we will do lunch once again at Gardens of Salonika. Take it easy. Okay.
Okay, give me a little voice.
Hi, this is your old skipper, submarine guy, Commodore Kepi.
Okay. Now, what I'm going to have you do is walk into frame and then walk out of frame.
Out that way?
Right.
Okay. So,
Okay.
you want me to give it this, you mean?
Yes.
Or?
So take 2 steps.
Okay.
One more. Okay, ready? Go.
Hi, Bud Kraehling. This is your old submarine skipper, Commodore Kepi. I sailed my sub in 1957 right into your weather room. I want to wish you the best of luck, Bud. I'm older than you, so pay attention.
Okay, good.
Is that
good,
it?
Good.
Is that all right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, you're just going to zoom out in a matter of seconds. I'm not going to start talking immediately, or should I?
Yes, you should.
I should.
Okay, ready?
So, yes.
Go.
Ah, yes, Clancy the Keystone Cop. Remember Mr. Kraehling? I came with you in 1961. Ah, yes, what fun we had. It's enough to make you want to sing. Oh, mercy dots and dozy dots, a little lambsy divey, a kiddly divey too, wouldn't you? Best of luck, buddy.
Okay, cool. Cool. Okay, ready? Go.
Well, Bud, this is John Gallus. It's been a real privilege to have been with you for 46 of your amazing 50 years at CCO. Let me close with the last few lines of Casey at the Bat. Oh, somewhere in this favored land the sun is shining bright, and bands are playing somewhere, and somewhere hearts are light, and somewhere men are laughing, and somewhere children shout. But there is no joy at Channel 4. Mighty Kraehling has moved out. Best of luck, Bud.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
So what?
Bud and I used to park together over on Hennepin and about 16th Street. It's a condominium now. And we were walking together once, and he said, I have to cross the street over here and pick up the New York Times. You know, they got the best weather forecast of all of them.
That's where he got the weather forecast.
That's where the good stuff came from. Happy retirement, Bud.
Okay, Bob.
Are you rolling?
Yeah.
Okay. My favorite Bud Kraehling story. It actually involves long before I started working here. When I was in grade school, along with my younger brother, he decided one day to skip school with his friends. After spending some time in the bowling alleys and billiard halls on Hennepin Avenue, around noon he decided to get on the weather window. He didn't know that my mother was watching that day, and when he got home and my mother asked him how his day was, he said it was fine. He had a good day at school. My mother said, I saw you on the weather window. He immediately started crying. He got a licking, and later that evening when I said, what were you thinking? He said, damn weather window. That's my Bud story. Good luck, Bud. We'll miss you.
Huh?
I'm mething, so I can do that.
What do you mean?
I just remember the only time I remember seeing Bud. We were doing, somebody had a goodbye tape.
Yeah.
And they were shooting us in the women's restroom, and somebody had made some funny comment in the stall, and as the camera pulled back, much to everybody's surprise, there was Bud hanging out in the women's bathroom. That's what I remember.
What's so strange about that?
Well, he didn't invite me. Oh, damn.
Okay.
So here's my Bud Kraehling story. When I was a kid, we used to have to come home for lunch from school. And we always knew when we had to leave for school again, because Bud used to be at the window, and there was music that would come on, and this was like ages ago, and it would be weather window, 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 window. And if you heard that music, then you knew you were going to be late getting back to school. So you always wanted to leave home before Bud Kraehling came on to do weather. That's it. I'm done.
God, that's bright.
And
warn me. Ready? Okay, Bud, I'm not sure that you'll remember this, but way back when I was a dispatcher, about 10 years ago, I remember coming to you once and asking you, Bud, what's the weather going to be like tomorrow? And you go, I don't know, ask a meteorologist. That's it.
Okay, Ron.
You rolling?
Yep.
Bud, I just never could find your stash since we moved to this new building. I remember where it used to be in your locker on the 4th floor.
I think what makes Inside Edition
Haven't thought of a
new
thing.
latches was Inside Edition.
Don't shoot me right yet, please. I heard that you had a locker on the 4th floor, and you always told everybody it was Bud's.
Curious to hear
No, I
what it was
didn't.
like after you've survived literally falling out of a jet and crashing into the Andes.
It's going to be for the crowd, but it's, Okay.
Do you need to mic this, or would Mr. Shotgun work just fine?
Mr. Shotgun's working great.
Are you rolling out?
Yes.
My first memories of Bud come from a small boy on a small farm in southern Minnesota. And I remember watching the 6 o'clock news, and Bud had this cool, calm, collected way of doing things, and I loved the interplay between Bud and Dave Moore. And then George Rice would come on, and that's about the time that I would fall asleep. But I really knew that Bud was kind of one of my rocks of my childhood. Whenever we had thunderstorms, you could tell out on the farm because we didn't have sirens. All we know was Bud would get on the air, and Bud would say whatever he had to say regarding the thunderstorms. Bud had this cool, calm, collected way of quieting the most panicky 7-year-old kid out on the farm. So those were my first memories of Bud. My lasting memories of Bud will be the great bathroom reading.
Okay, Ken. Bud, you recall when I directed the 10 o'clock news many years ago, whenever the weather would come on at 10:15, it would remind my wife to run and take her birth control pills. I don't think it worked. I have 4 kids.
I wasn't drunk, I guess, anyway. I mean, it was weaving around traffic and everything else. I mean, maybe he was fighting back or something. Do you know anything that we don't? We weren't able to see.
Well, I obviously am not in a position to counsel, so I regret that I'm not able to comment specifically on the point. But suffice it to say that we believe that there was sufficient evidence to warrant the CCTV.
You know, funny, sad, whatever you want to do. 50 years. Okay, I'm rolling when you're ready.
Well, I want to impart a little-known fact to Bud Kraehling fans. Bud's daughter Cinda and I were roommates in college at Northwestern University, and she would bring home after every break a pile of WCCO pencils. So, Bud, if you wondered where the pencils went, they ended up in our apartment in Evanston, Illinois. And the other funny thing about this was, when I asked her where she got the pencils, she said from her dad. I said, "How did your dad get these pencils?" And she said, "Well, he's a TV weatherman." And I thought, well, there's a really odd way to earn a living.
Very good.
And I did.
So you can be sad, you can be funny, you can be whatever you want. Okay, roll it.
Bud, I can't believe you were 50 years in this business. You've been like a father to me. In fact, you might be my father for all I know. But you're a great, what I remember about Bud Kraehling, not only the great weather, but the incredible jazz fan you were. I'd show up to these avant-garde jazz things and around the Twin Cities, and you were there many, many times getting funky and getting down with the hot jazz. So best of luck. Hope you have a great retirement. Thanks for your years of service, and we're going to miss you.
Thanks. Thanks.
Don, how are you? Here at the Downtown Council. Sam, how are you? Are we all ready to go? It's 10:30. Let's go. How did you get here? Hi, how are you? Oh, you're Andre. Well, a pleasure. Pleasure indeed. Glad you could come. Hi, Jay. How you doing? How are you? Good. Oh, God.
Good. How are you?
Somebody's got to protect the liberal left. I know it.
We have at least one of us here.
Indeed. Yes. Yes. Are we all set?
Yeah, just say hello.
God, that looks like hi, Mayor. How you doing?
Fine, thank you. I'm glad you're able to be here today. It's going to be fine.
Well, delighted.
Hello, Kevin. Hi, how are you? I think we're all ready to go.
Are we all set?
Yeah. Is everybody here?
You can take a 50 years.
Would you have time for word?
I can't believe after 50 years Bud Kraehling is leaving WCCO. I grew up with Bud Kraehling. I looked forward to seeing his smiling face on the television sets early in the morning. I counted on him when I was trying to figure out what the weather was going to be as I went on my way to school. All the best to you, Bud, and I hope you have a great next life.
Thanks. All right, I'm rolling.
No, you're ready for the nautical.
What's the question?
You want to say something to Bud? You want to
Oh, yeah.
Well,
Bud, I really wish you the very, very best. You can't believe how many people have grown up with Bud Kraehling on the news, on the weather, and you are clearly a Minnesota legend, and on behalf of all the people of Minnesota, I wish you the very, very best, and thank you so much for your service.
He's a great guy, really. No edge. Wonderful man.
Thank you.
All right. Well, at least the pilot kind of opens so bad on the boat.
Really?
All right, here's
Hi,
our
Captain.
captain.
How are you?
Very fine, Mayor.
Good, thank you.
Ward.
Hi, Captain. How are you?
Good to have you here. Thank you. Morning. Morning. Welcome aboard.
Wrong tripod.
Hi, Eric. Good to see you. Morning. Welcome aboard.
Somebody's truck.
They're doing that at Morris.
Welcome. Good morning. TCO, I don't know, whatever you want to say. Kind of funny if you can. Any memories or anything like that? Or okay.
Bud Kraehling, gosh, you know, I'm really going to hate that you're leaving because now you make me the oldest person left in this business. True? No, let's see, I'm 30.
Not old, veteran.
No, I'm the oldest and the darkest person left. Everybody else is white and young. Bud.
And yellow.
I need you, Bud. Come back. Don't do this. There's life. Of course, you succeeded because you didn't have Frank Maggot to worry about, which was very good. And I enjoyed watching you all these years. You're one of those people, seriously, who got me into this business as I was working at Honeywell. And I realized when I was watching all you guys, gee, it looks like a lot of fun because of people like yourself. But congratulations, and I hope your next 50 is equally fun.
Okay, good, good.
Okay. But I'm going to show you why I never asked to be in the blues band. See? Hope you have a great time, Bud. I know you got lots of trips left to take and I hope you have a good time, and we'll miss you.
Nice, Pete.
Okay.